Hi Suraj, I want to give you some comments from a reading your application or initial statement of research. And there are quite a few issues I have with the one page you wrote. And the thing is that I decided to do this video because I was a bit lazy. I didn't want to write down things. But I think you'll find my comments quite convincing and compelling, and I'll try to keep that under 5 minutes if I can. I hope so. So first of all, if you take a look at what you put in here, the department is Information Systems and Operations Management. So it is important that you get the right name of the department. Then this title for the research doesn't really say much. Spectrum management is about using the spectrum, not so much using it, it's about deciding what to do with the spectrum. And the cognitive radio networks are tools that may be used, and they can be allowed by a spectrum manager. For instance, a regulator or a spectrum agency in a country. But the cognitive radio networks are part of the technological changes and advances that we've had recently. So bringing these two things on one single title doesn't really communicate anything, in my opinion, because cognitive radio networks is not an opportunistic model to spectrum management. It's perhaps an opportunistic model to spectrum use. So the key thing here is what to do about this management word, if you want to keep that kind of title. So I think you'll do better if you listen to the rest of my comments, and then you'll have to find a more appropriate title for this piece. Now the text follows with a description. You say radio spectrum is a technology which has evolved. Well, radio spectrum is not a technology. Radio spectrum is a resource. It's a natural resource. It's basically a way in which electromagnetic energy manifests itself. And we've found a way to distinguish different kinds of that kind of energy, and the different ways are distinguished by the frequency of the radio wave. And also, in general, we call this the electromagnetic spectrum, and the radio spectrum is a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. It's a part that goes from about a few kilohertz, like 3,000 hertz, yeah, something like that, into the 30 gigahertz already, or above that. Well, you can find exactly what people mean by radio spectrum, but the point is that this is not a technology. And you say that it has evolved to not just becoming a part of our day-to-day life, but also an integral method for governments to increase their revenue and help global economy. Well, these are the kind of statements that are so vague and probably have a too large scope. Yeah, radio spectrum is used by governments, and they produce some revenue to the government. But saying that up front, I don't think it's a good idea. And help the global economy. How? That is some vagueness in that way of expressing this idea. Now it says the last decades has seen, well, you shouldn't say has seen, it is have seen a significant increase in an outburst for demand for radio spectrum. Well, significant increase and outburst may mean the same thing, so you're being redundant here. And this has brought upon a need for more efficient spectrum management methods to avoid it from becoming scarce. Well, the idea is okay. Thing is that you need to state in the first part of your write-up what the spectrum management means, and you haven't said a word about that. So before using spectrum management term, you need to approach it with half a sentence or half a line or one line that helps reader understand what the spectrum management is. Look, it's already 5 minutes 40 seconds, and I'm not going to be able to finish before 10 minutes at this pace, but let me just keep on going. The current spectrum management method has been a license-based auctioning system. Spectrum management is not about spectrum assignment. So when the auction is used, this is used to assign some parts of the spectrum. So you are confusing here spectrum management with spectrum assignment. Therefore, the current spectrum management method is not based on a license-based auctioning system, because the auctions are just one part of whatever spectrum management may mean. And it's important that you understand what spectrum management is about. And you said that this has worked well for the last 2 decades. Well, let's say that that's okay. However, this method leads to a large amount of unused spectrum, which could be used in a better and efficient manner. Well, that's not accurate. It's not a large amount of unused spectrum. It is that at some points during the day, there are parts of the spectrums which are not being used. And it's not this method which has led to that. Of course, some providers don't use their spectrum to the max, and therefore is somehow unused, at least during certain times of the day. But it is other types of spectrum that not necessarily allocated through an auction that may also have that kind of feature that you're talking about, which is not being fully used. So there's a whole range of different parts of the spectrum which are being used by different modes of communications that would present themselves with that problem, that they are not being used. Now, you said researchers are now looking to change the face of spectrum management with a shared spectrum approach, and the emergence of technologies such as cognitive radio networks and software-defined radio complement them. I don't know if the right spelling of the word you're looking for is the one you have there, complement. I think it's complement with an intermediate E. Complement, P-L-E-M-E-N-T. You have to check that. I don't know if the word complement with an I, complement with an I don't think it exists. The key issues, however, have been the acceptance of spectrum sharing by the companies and the development of an efficient model for spectrum auctioning and management, which could maximize spectrum optimization, which would comply with the appropriate regulations and policies without having a negative impact on the market. This sentence is horrible. It has 4 lines, and it has like 2 or 3 sentences inside it. You need to really check what you were trying to say here, because I'm not really following what you're saying. My research will focus on the development of such a CRN model, which will provide greater spectrum efficiency and QoS. Look, if you're going to use acronyms like QoS, you have to tell the reader what it means, along with emulating a sense of Nash equilibrium amongst the companies. Well, you don't emulate Nash equilibriums, you calculate Nash equilibriums, but before using Nash equilibrium, you need to refer to some kind of game model that you're going to use. But this hasn't been mentioned here. You just go straight into saying that you're going to emulate a sense of Nash equilibrium, and I have no idea what you meant by emulating a sense of Nash equilibrium. Okay, and there's another paragraph there that doesn't say much. So bottom line is that this is confusing, and you are not really addressing any particular issue. You're not delivering a convincing statement, and you need to work harder on that. You could start with like not linked sentences, just kind of scattered sentences one after the other, where you say, you kind of narrate what you want, and then we can work around that and start linking them up one to the other. The current text is not able to stand scrutiny by a serious reviewer. You would be told, look, I don't understand what you're trying to say, and I don't quite follow what you're trying to say. I understand parts, but you're not actually telling us what you're gonna do and why you want to do this. So it is important that you go back to the drawing table and say, why do you like this stuff? What is it that you like? And how are you going to go about any of the problems that you are going to introduce? There must be a problem, you want to introduce it, and then say how you solve it. Alright, I hope that this helps, and once you understand more what's going on, you can actually you can tell me, and we can take it from there. We need to work on this very quickly.